elasticity of demand. This is another lecture about the elasticity of demand. I've tried to explain the elasticity through the various lectures, so you can see from this picture, it's very much clear that elasticity means flexibility. That when you push the rubber, how much it is elastic. When someone is applying the force, so different rubbers, they react differently. So this is one of the form of the elasticity, or one of the example of the elasticity. And so overview of the presentation of this elasticity presentation: individual demand and market demand, elasticity of demand, types of elasticity of demand, price elasticity of demand, income elasticity of demand, cross price elasticity of demand, methods to determine elasticity, using elasticities in managerial decision making. This will be the lecture's overview. So the demand for a commodity arises from the consumer's willingness and ability to purchase the commodity. From these pictures you can also see that individual demand and the market demand. Vertically the price, horizontally the quantities, and market demand is the summation of all individuals' demands. Elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand, it measures the responsiveness of consumer for a commodity to the changes in its determinants or forces. It is the measure of responsiveness of the consumer for a commodity to the changes in the determinants or its forces. It checks the determinants of the elasticity, that what are the factors creating or causing the elasticity. The types of elasticity of demand: the price elasticity of demand, the income elasticity of demand, and the cross price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand, it measures the responsiveness of elasticity in the quantity demanded of the commodity to a change in its price. Means the price elasticity of demand is the measure through which we may check the response of the quantity demanded due to change in the price, that when price changes, how much change is occurring in the quantity. It's very important for the producers or the sellers to understand that what will be the reaction of the people or the consumers if they raise the price. And this is the formula. It's one of the formula through which we calculate the price elasticity of demand. That price elasticity equal to change in quantity divided by change in price multiplied by price into Q, means price divided by quantity. So the types of price elasticity of demand: the perfectly inelastic demand, the relatively inelastic demand, unit elastic demand, relatively inelastic demand, elastic demand, and perfectly elastic demand. These are the types. Perfectly inelastic demand, it see that perfectly inelastic demand is that demand when whatever the change in price occurs, but there is no change in the quantity demanded occurs. And it is usually related with the necessities or the medicines, life-saving drugs, that whatever price is changing from 0 to X, but the quantity is not changing, it is remaining same. Relatively inelastic demand, it means when price changes by 1%, but the quantity demanded changes, but the change is less than 1%. So you can see from here, from this graph, that the change in price is from P to P1 and the change in quantity is from Qx to x1. Even this figure is suggesting that the price is moving upward more steps as compared to the quantity which is coming backward a few steps. So unitary elastic demand. Another type of the elasticity is the unit elastic or unitary elasticity. Means when 1% change in price occurs, the same change or 1% change in quantity demanded occurs. It means price and quantity changes in the same quantity. Even you can see from this graph that the price is rising, suppose one step, the quantity is also falling by one step. Relatively elastic demand is that elasticity means when 1% price changes, the quantity demanded changes more than 1%. Thus you can see that when price is changing from P1 to P to P1, the quantity is changing from X to X1. You can observe the distance, that how much price is covering and how much quantity is covering. Perfectly elastic demand is that elastic demand when little change in price or even no change in price can cause huge change in the quantity demanded, just like it has the vertical the horizontal line, that if little change in price occurs, there will be no demand for a particular product or a particular firm. So the price elasticity at the quantity demanded. So when the proportionate change in demand is equal to proportionate changes in price, it is known as unitary elastic demand. When the changes in price and the quantity demanded they are equal, we say there is a unit elastic demand. You can also see from this graph that the same change is occurring in the quantity and the price. Another type of the elasticity is the relatively inelastic demand. It means inelastic demand. When the proportionate change in demand is less than the proportionate changes in the price, it is known as relatively inelastic demand. It means when the changes in the demand is less than the changes in the price, it is known as the relatively inelastic demand. When we calculate the price elasticity of demand, if the answer is less than 1, it means when 1% change in price causes less than 1% change in quantity demanded, we say there is a relatively inelastic demand or inelastic demand. So from this graph you can also observe that the slope of the price is higher than the slope of the quantity demanded or of the demand. It means change in price is more than the change in quantity demanded. Another graph is, and the type, the kind of the elasticity is the perfectly inelastic demand. So we simply say that perfectly inelastic demand is that demand when a change in price, however large change, howsoever or whatsoever the price changes, no changes in quantity demanded. It is known as perfectly inelastic demand. Means whatever the change in price occurs, there is no change in the quantity demanded occurs. You can see from this graph that if price rises from 0 to up to this 0 point, but the quantity is not moving, and this type of the perfectly inelastic demand is related with most necessities or life-saving drugs. The patients who are using the insulin, or nowadays in the case of the corona virus, the drugs are the medicines which are very important. Whatever the price, people have to buy most of the times. So if we calculate the perfectly inelastic demand with the help of the formula, if our result is equal to 0, Means we say that whenever the price changes by 1%, 2% or 100% or 1000% up to a limit, though there is a limit, that the quantity is not changing. So that's why we say it's a perfectly inelastic demand. And all kinds of demand can be shown into one diagram. You can see here the price, the demand, where D1, you can see this is the perfectly elastic, it's a horizontal line. You can see D2 line is the relatively elastic, little slopey line. Elasticity of demand equal to utility or unit elastic. There is a D equal change, one step higher and one step here backward. Fourth one, relatively inelastic demand. You can see that price is changing more than the quantity demanded, and the perfectly inelastic demand. So this was about the types or the kinds of discussion about the kinds or the types of the elasticity. So to repeat again, that the elasticity is the responsiveness. Price elasticity of demand is the responsiveness of the quantity demanded due to change in price. That how flexible the quantity is when price is changing. So it measures that what changes are occurring due to change in the price. Thank you for listening, and we will continue the discussion of the calculations of the elasticity of demand.